Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. Condo Vultures is a real estate brokerage as well as a consulting firm. So if you're looking for any kind of brokerage services and or consulting, whether it be expert witness or it's feasibility studies, feel free to reach out to us. And who knows, maybe somebody from my organization can help you out. If you're tuning into this podcast, you are here for the condo market analysis. It's a deep dive into all the particulars going on in a particular market. For this, we're going to be focusing on the city of Miami Beach. Miami Beach is a municipality. It's separate from the city of Miami. It's separated by about a 5-mile long causeway. It's on the barrier island, which basically has the Atlantic Ocean to the east, and it has Biscayne Bay to the west. So for this podcast, what we will do is we will look at condos. We will look at luxury condos. We will look at distressed condos. And finally, we're going to take a look at the rental market for Miami Beach. Now, it's important to remember all of the statistics we're going to be tapping into for this particular podcast. They're all coming from the multiple listing service. What is the multiple listing service? It is a database used by realtors. What are realtors? Realtors are people with a real estate license who join a club. They pay about $1,000 a year. They get a bunch of benefits, but one of the primary drivers to become a realtor is to be able to tap into this database. Who uses the database? Well, database is used by sellers. Realtors who represent sellers, they get a listing. They go ahead, they enter in all the information into the database, and voila, you have a list of all the properties that are being offered. Who else uses the MLS? It'll be buyer brokers. It'll be those brokers who are working with buyers who are trying to identify a place. Who else uses the MLS? It's going to be landlords. Some of those landlords who basically, they have 1 or 2 units, are trying to rent it out. They try to use some of the other platforms such as Zillow or HotPads or anything like that. And they have also decided to engage a realtor, pay that person the commission to try to lease it out for them. And then the other group that's going to use the MLS will be the brokers who are representing tenants or renters who are trying to ultimately find a place. Now, it's worth noting the multiple listing service is those properties that in which the commission is being offered. Typically, that commission on the sales side, it's going to be about 6%. It'll be split by both sides, and sell side as well as buy side. And on the rental side, it's going to be about 10% of the gross annual rent. Half will go to the realtor representing the landlord. The other half is going to go to the realtor who's representing the tenants/renters. Keep in mind, though, that's not all the real estate transactions that are going to occur in the marketplace. It's simply all the transactions where commission is being offered. It's oftentimes used for statistics. And why is that? Because it's simple. All the information is put out there. Now, what other kind of properties would ultimately transact and not be included in the MLS? Well, those would be properties such as for sale by owner. Somebody puts a house for sale. There's no realtor involved. Therefore, no commissions paid. Therefore, it's not going to be in the multiple listing service. What else will not be in the multiple listing service? It's going to be those properties that are purchased by groups such as We Buy Ugly Houses. You ever pull over on the side of the road, maybe coming off the interstate, you looking to see a sign, We Buy Ugly Houses. Well, those We Buy Ugly House people are primarily private equity groups that are purchasing houses, one-offs, no realtors involved, no commissions are paid. Therefore, it's not going to be in the multiple listing service. Another type of transaction that's not going to be included in the multiple listing service, those will be the renters by corporate landlords, typically the 100, 200, 300, 400 unit complexes, where there's a big sign on the side that says for lease, for rent, or maybe they've hired somebody. They're standing outside the property. They're flipping a sign, trying to get you to pull over as you drive by. Those are typically corporate landlords, and they also will not be in the MLS because corporate landlords typically don't want to pay a real estate commission of 10% gross annual rent. If you have 100 units, 200 units, 300 units, why the hell would you go ahead and pay all that money out to a broker? It's much more cost effective to hire 1 or 2 people, put them in a leasing office and have them handle all the transactions rather than paying 10% commission on the gross annual rent for each of the units. And if you got 400 units on a complex, that's a chunk of change. So many corporate landlords will not use realtors. They will not pay a commission, and therefore they're not also going to be in the MLS. So that was important to keep in mind. Now, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the marketplace. We're near the end of the winter buying season, which typically runs from November through April. But keep in mind, all the transactions we're going to be referring to in terms of sales pace and other things, that's going to be based on 2022. That'll be January through December of 2022. But the listing information, as well as the pending information, that's all going to be based on what's currently going on right now today in April of 2023. Let me point out to you, if you have any questions or comments for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com. That's INQUIRY@condovultures.com. And also, too, if you're listening to this podcast on a traditional platform such as Apple, Google, Anchor, you should know we have video capabilities. Therefore, if you go to any platform that provides for video, such as Spotify, you can actually watch the podcast. In addition to that, you can go to YouTube where our handle is Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. Now, I will tell you, we're going to be dealing with some stats, and those stats, if you're watching the podcast, are simply going to be embedded into the video. And if you are listening to the podcast, please be sure to go to the description. In the description, I'll have links to all of the different charts. So you can actually look up the numbers on your own while you source into the podcast. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and we'll take a commercial break. When we get back, we're going to get into the condo market in the city of Miami Beach.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to condovultures.com for more information. Condovultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. For this segment, we're going to focus on condos. This will be all condos in the city of Miami Beach. This is going to be old. It's going to be new. This will be pre-construction. This will be resales. This will be, you name it. If it's a condo and it's in Miami Beach, we're going to talk about it in this particular category. And again, we're going to rely on statistics from the Multiple Listing Service, which is the database used by people who are part of the club called the Realtor Association. So what do we got going on in the marketplace? Currently, there's just under 1,200 condos for sale in Miami Beach. 1,200 condos are for sale in Miami Beach. The average asking price per door, average asking price per unit, one and the same, it's going to come in at just under $1.7 million a door, $1.7 million a door. A lot of people will get caught up on how much did I buy a place for? How much did you sell a place for? What did so-and-so pay for that particular unit? I want you to know that's the wrong approach to consider when you're looking at condominiums. It works with houses, but it doesn't necessarily work with condominiums. And why is that? Because condos are commodities. They are not works of art, which is what a house would be. So single family house is a work of art. Condo is a commodity. When you're dealing with commodities, you want to be able to compare things apples to apples. Think about gasoline. When you pull up to an intersection, you see 4 gas stations. Unless you have some sort of affiliation with a particular brand, chances are you're going for the cheapest price per gallon. But when you look at condos, you ought to be going price per square foot, not price per door. And what do I mean by that? Well, generally speaking, you have a condominium, the layouts of the units in a particular line are all going to be the same. What does that mean? That means the 01 line, the 02 line, the 03 line, the 08 line. The unit on the 9th floor is probably going to have the same layout as a unit on the 15th floor, as a unit on the 35th floor, as a unit on the 50th floor. The only time you might really get a variation is when you get high up or tall into the tower. Some of the penthouses, now they actually have lower penthouses, whatever the hell that means. But these penthouses will have some added bonuses, such as taller ceilings. But other than that, layout is all exactly the same. You're going to have the kitchen in the same place. You'll have the bedroom in the same place. You're going to have everything the same. So as a result of that, you can figure out pricing of a particular unit. You just have to see what everything else is trading for. Now, when we do consulting with developers who are looking to build condos and they want information on pricing, typically what we'll tell them is you want to charge a premium or discount by about let's call it an average of $10,000 a floor and or $5,000 to $15,000 per floor. So as you go higher, add 10 grand a floor to that particular unit. As you go lower, take 10 grand off. Just generally speaking, some developers will work with that model. Some will not, but that just gives you a general sense as to how you look at condominiums. Now, let's contrast that with a single family house. Single family house is going to have a bunch of different variables that we would not find in a condo. For instance, what is the shape of the lot? What kind of trees are on the lot? What kind of shrubs are on the lot? How many stories is that particular house? What kind of material is used to build a house? How many bedrooms are there? How big is the yard? Is there a swimming pool? None of those things factor into a condo, which is why I would say look at it as a commodity and look at it price per square foot versus a single family house, which is going to be a work of art. It's going to be unique, and you're going to have to make all kinds of changes and adjustments for the variables in order to get a good price on it. So condos are priced per square foot. And what's going on with the price per square foot for condos in Miami Beach? Right now, the average asking price is $1,051 a square foot, $1,051 a square foot. And those condos that are on the market, they've been there an average of 143 days and counting, 143. If you convert that into months, 30 days in a month, that's going to come out to 4.8 months that these condos have been sitting on the market without getting a deal thus far, 4.8 months. Now, let's look at pending sales. Pending sales are properties that were put up for sale, and now they are under contract and they're waiting to transact. Typically, a transaction will occur within about 30 to 60 days after the property is actually under contract, or i.e. pending. So that's important to keep in mind. So once it goes under contract, you're looking at 30 to 60 days for it to transact. What do we got going on in pending? We have 209 condos that are under contract in Miami Beach, 209. Average asking price of those condos when they went under contract, $1 million a door, $1 million a door. Price per square foot coming in at $764 a foot, $764 a foot. And those condos that are under contract and pending, remember they were listed and then they went pending. They've been there an average of 80 days, 80 days converted into months, 30 days in a month. That's going to come up to 2.7 months that they've basically been in the process. Now, let's look at closed transactions. This will be 2022. This is going to be January through December of 2022 to give you an idea of sales. 3,100 condos traded in Miami Beach in 2022, 3,100. And the average price per door, $982,400 a door, $982,400,000 is what the condos traded for. $982,400 a door. Price per square foot, $704 a foot, $704 a foot. And number of days it took to list the property, go under contract, and ultimately transact, 92 days. Now, this is where it gets sort of interesting. And by the way, 30 days in a month, so the 92-day period is going to work out to 3.1 months to do the entire transaction. Now, when you're looking at a condo and you're trying to get an idea of sentiment, what is the buyer's sentiment for the marketplace? One of the best ways to look at it is days on market. Days on market will reflect whether or not buyers are stepping forward, pulling the trigger, whether or not they're sitting on the sidelines. Keep in mind, interest rates have spiked from the beginning of 2022 to here we are in April of 2023. Federal funds rate went from 0 to 5%. In mortgage rates have basically gone from about 3% to over 6%, sometimes 7% for those ideal borrowers. So sentiment for buyers is really important, especially if you're looking to sell a property. So how do you gauge sentiment for buyers? Look at days on market. Days on market will reflect whether or not buyers are stepping up and trying to take stuff down, or whether or not they're sitting on the sidelines expecting some sort of price adjustment downward. And the best way to look at that is simply what's going on with condos in Miami Beach. Well, in 2022, it took 92 days, 3.1 months for the entire process from the point a seller put the property up on the market to the point it actually transacted and was funded, where the seller took the cash, packed their stuff, and left. 92 days. Now compare that to the properties that are listed for sale. Those condos in Miami Beach listed for sale today, they're sitting on the market 143 days, just languishing is on the market, a fruit that's on the vine that's basically just rotting, into the point the seller decides, okay, maybe if I do want to sell, I'm going to need to adjust my pricing. And if I do, chances are I'm going to cut it downward. Why? Because a condo is a commodity. So let's take a look at the price difference between what the average asking price is and the average transaction price. I mentioned it before, but let's look at it percentage wise. Well, the average ask is $1.7 million a door in Miami Beach. But remember, in 2022, average condo traded for $982,400 a door, $982,400. That's about a 73% premium that today's sellers are asking for a condo in Miami Beach versus what they traded for in 2022. Now, what's the importance of this percentage, the 73% difference? Well, I would tell you, based on experience, generally speaking, any seller who wants to do a deal is typically going to price their condo with maybe a 20% buffer or spread or vig on top of it. So typically when you're looking to take a run at a condo, and if you want to do a deal sooner rather than later, probably going to look for something that's priced, reasonably, that 20% over the average transaction price, or what it should be worth. And why would it be 20% over? Because typically a seller will look to negotiate. And if you negotiate, you tend to split the difference. So if you go 20% over, chances are you're going to cut a deal at 10% premium or vig in order to get the seller out the door. So when I see a 73% spread or premium for condos, price per door in Miami Beach, That suggests to me that we got some very confident sellers, and based on look at days on market, we have some buyers that aren't necessarily playing ball thus far, but condos are based on price per square foot and not based on price per door. So let's take a look at price per square foot for a condo in Miami Beach. We're looking at about a 49% spread, where again, it should be 20% to signify or represent to the market that the seller wants to do a deal. The average asking price was $1,051 a square foot in Miami Beach for a condo. Average transaction price, $704, and that's 49%. Again, sending a sign to the marketplace. I don't want to do a deal. If you want my property, I have gold. You're going to have to pay me for it. So that's probably why you see the days on the market ticking upward. Now, let's take a look at sales pace, and let's look at months of supply to give us an idea of what the overall state of the market is for condos in Miami Beach. In order to get a sense of the supply of condos in Miami Beach, we're going to have to take a look at the sales pace. So in 2022, there were 3,100 condos that traded, 3,100. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that by 12 because there's 12 months in the year. And I'm going to come up with an average of 258 condos trading per month, 258. That is the velocity. That's the sales pace. Now, if I take that 258 they traded per month in 2022, if I divide that what's currently in the market, which is 1,200, I'm going to come up with 4.6 months of supply, 4.6 months of supply. Now, what is the significance of 4.6 months of supply? Well, equilibrium will be 6 months. Anything greater than 6 months suggests or says it is a buyer's market. Anything less than 6 months says it is a seller's market. So based on the supply of 4.6 months of supply of condos in Miami Beach, that would tell you that this is a seller's market. However, I will tell you that the days on market, the number of days it's taking for anybody listing a property today and trying to go under contract, as it's ticking up, as it's effectively going to be double when it was in 2022. If you look at those condos that are currently on the market, if they were to go under contract, they're looking at 30 to 60 days to close. You're looking at twice as long to sell a condo in 2023 as it took in 2022. That would suggest to me that even though it is a seller's market based on months of supply, the sentiment going forward is not a positive one. And therefore, the only way sellers are going to be able to get out of their properties is chances are they're going to have to cut the price. And we talked about what the premium was or the VIG was between the average asking price and the average transaction price. So as we move to the time of the year when by 9 a.m., it's 90-degree temperature, it's 90% humidity. And many of the people are up. If you're in New York or you're in the Hamptons or you're in Europe, you're not going to be in South Florida dealing with the heat and humidity. Chances are doing a deal in Miami Beach isn't going to be top notch for you. And therefore, as we go forward, I would expect to see the Miami Beach condo market move into a buyer's market sooner rather than later. So let's go ahead. We'll take a commercial break. Other side break, we're going to talk luxury condos in Miami Beach.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with CVRRealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Cortez at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, cvrrealty.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. Let me remind you, if you are listening to this podcast on a traditional platform such as Apple, Google, or Anchor, we do have video capabilities. Simply go to a platform that provides for video, such as Spotify. You can also check us out on YouTube, where the handle is Condo Vultures TV. So for this segment, we're going to talk luxury condos. When you come to South Florida, one of the terms you hear quite a bit, or phrases you hear quite a bit, is luxury this, luxury that, luxury this, luxury that. Luxury, in my mind, means somebody's trying to charge you more, and you pay a premium for something that may or may not be worth it. So as a result, luxury will be thrown around quite a bit. It doesn't matter if it is artwork at a festival, it's luxury artwork. It doesn't matter if it is a bottle of booze at a nightclub. It's a luxury brand, therefore you're going to pay a premium for it. And when it comes to condos, all of them are luxury according to the listing brokers. So in order to take a look at luxury condos, try to get a sense of what's really going on, we've come up with a number, an arbitrary number that we handpicked, and we're going to use it to be able to take a look at the luxury market. And that arbitrary number is $1 million or 7 figures. So if a condo is listed or it is sold for $1 million or more, we are deeming it luxury. And if a condo is trading or listed for $999,999. We're calling it standard, normal, par for the course. Nothing special about $999,999 versus $1 million, which suddenly becomes special. Arbitrary number. Are we right? Yes. Are we wrong? Yes. Why? Because nobody knows what the hell luxury is. So keep in mind when you hear luxury, understand that it's a generic term. It's not going to bring any value whatsoever, but it's used to try to get a higher price out of you. But for this segment, we're going to focus on $1 million or more, and that's what we're going to talk about. So condos, luxury condos, Miami Beach. What do we got on the market? Just over 425 luxury condos for sale, 425. Average asking price for one of these luxury condos, $3.9 million. But more importantly, price per square foot, because that's what condos are all about. The average asking price for a condo in Miami Beach, luxury condo, 1816, and days on the market. Luxury condos have been on the market an average of 158 days. 158 days. Convert that to months, will work out to 5.3 months. 5.3 months. That's somebody that on average, if you list your condo, you're sitting there 5 months without being able to transact the property in Miami Beach right now. Now, pending sales. These are the properties that were listed for sale and now have gone under contract. There's 43 luxury condos that are pending, 43 luxury condos that are pending. The average asking price for those condos when pending, $3.3 million a door, $3.3 million per door, or $1,573 a foot, $1,573 per square foot. And those pending sales of luxury condos, they've been there 99 days. 99 days to be put on the market as well as to go under contract and waiting to close. Keep in mind, once you do close, it's typically 30 to 60 days after a property goes under contract. If I take the 99 days, convert it into months, I'm working out to 3.3 months, 3.3 months. And then finally close sales in 2022, January through December of 2022. 616 luxury condos traded, 616. They traded at an average price of just under $3.3 million a door, $3.3 million a door, or $1,485 a foot. $1,485 a square foot. And in terms of the entire transaction process, listed, pending, closed, funded, 110 days, 110 converted into months will work out to 3.7 months. 3.7 months is what it took for the entire process in 2022. Now let's take that closed transactions in 2022 of 110 days. Let's compare it to how long the properties that are on the market today have been there, which is 158. You're going to see if you had 30 to 60 days, if those properties listed today were to go under contract, you're very soon going to be bumping up against that twice as long, that double pace. And what that means is it's taking a hell of a lot longer to sell a luxury condo in Miami Beach in 2023 as it did in 2022. So the natural reaction would be maybe it has to do with pricing. So let's take a look at pricing. Now, on a price per door basis, there's about an 18% spread. 18% spread. Remember, when somebody lists a property for 20% above the average transaction price, anything 20% or less, that's going to send a signal to buyers. Hey, the seller might want to negotiate. When it's way over 20%, it's not worth wasting your time because that seller is caught up in la la land, expecting to get more for the property than it's actually worth. So when I see an 18% difference, that says on a price per door basis, these condos are priced to sell. Remember, the average asking price is $3.9 million for a condo, luxury condo Miami Beach versus the average transaction price was $3.3 million. So maybe price isn't it, but let's take a look at price per square foot. Price per square foot difference, the premium, 22%. So again, right there in that range of 20%. Remember, 1816, what the average asking price is today versus the average transaction price in 2022 was $1,485. So that's it in the ballpark. That suggests that sellers want to sell. The problem is buyers aren't pulling the trigger, and that's why we're seeing the days on the market go up. Now, there could be a whole variety of reasons for this. Could be the stock market crash or stock market pullback that occurred in 2022. It could be the collapse of crypto. It could be all the layoffs that are underway throughout the country, especially out in California. Remember, a lot of Californians and New Yorkers were coming to Miami. They were going to live here and they were going to work for companies based out of California or elsewhere. Now we're seeing corporations haul people back into the office 3 days a week, possibly 4 days a week, probably never 5 days a week. And maybe this concept, this utopia of living in Miami and working for a California company, maybe it's not necessarily starting to add up. And maybe that's one of the reasons you don't have as many transactions going down for luxury condos in Miami Beach. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, let's look at supply. Let's look at sales pace for 2022. So in 2022, you had 616 transactions. If I divide that by 12, which is 12 months in a year, I'm going to come up with an average number of luxury condos trading per month in 2022 of just over 51 luxury condos, 51 luxury condos. Now let's take that 51 luxury condos that traded in 2022 on average Let's divide it on what's on the market, which is 426. We're going to come up with 8.3 months of supply based on the sales pace of 2022. 8.3 months. Now, 8.3 months would suggest it is a buyer's market. Why? Because equilibrium is 6 months. Anything less than 6 months would be a seller's market. So if you're looking at the traditional rule of thumb in terms of gauging supply, the luxury condo market in Miami Beach is a buyer's market. Now, some brokers will push back, and this will be their argument, and be on the lookout for it if you hear it. What the argument is, listen, my seller has more money than God, therefore they're not going to negotiate down. They want the full asking price, and if you can't provide that price with an offer, don't even waste your time. That's what you'll hear. That will be the front that a lot of listing brokers will put up. Now, when you bring up the months of supply and you bring up the fact that this looks like a buyer's market, the reaction is typically, well, because the seller has so much money and is in no rush to sell, therefore 6 months should not be equilibrium. Equilibrium should actually be 12 months or it should be 18 months. That would be the argument you hear. It's simply a roundabout way to try to lessen the fact that this market is in a buyer's market. So if you hear 12 months, if you hear 18 months, that typically should suggest to you that somebody is trying to lead you to believe that their luxury product is worth it, when the general rule of thumb is 6 months. So Miami Beach luxury condos are in a buyer's market right now, as we are in April at the end of the winter buying season in South Florida. So we're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the distressed market in Miami Beach.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work in consulting. So if you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are an institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of a strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to peter@condovultures.com. That's peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. Let me remind you, if you have any questions or comments, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, inquiry@condovultures.com. For this segment, we're going to talk about distressed condos in the city of Miami Beach. And what is distress? That's probably the best place to start. Distress is comprised of two different categories as it pertains to the multiple listing service. Remember, all the statistics I'm referring to are coming out of the MLS, which is that database used by people with a real estate license who join a club called the Realtor Association, and then they get to play with the MLS. So, two forms of distress. There will be the proactive attempt by a seller who knows they're going to be upside down. They're going to come up short of paying back the bank what it's owed, but yet they want to try to get out and avoid foreclosure. That's going to be called a short sale. The reactionary result of property that goes in runs into trouble is going to be known as a real estate owned, which the people refer to it as an REO. It's also called a bank owned. It's also called a foreclosure. So again, short sale is a seller and a borrower, one and the same, who realizes that they're probably not going to be able to repay their loan to the bank, and therefore will try to be proactive and sell their property and get the bank to agree to accept less. Now you ask yourself, why would a bank accept less than what it's owed? Well, typically what happens is when a market really starts to unravel, banks who decide to go ahead and foreclose on a property, and it's going to take 9 to 12 months, they might find themselves quite the surprise at the end of the line when they ultimately get the property back from the court. What could those surprises be? Well, it could be a situation where somebody getting foreclosed realizes they're going to lose everything they have. So what they will do is they will typically pull out appliances, they'll pull out cabinetry, they'll destroy the unit, they'll do whatever because they've lost it and they're going to make sure nobody else can get it. That's what we saw during the Great Recession quite a bit. So a reason a bank might accept a short sale, basically lose some money, but not have to turn around and go through a 9 to 12 month court process, go that 9 to 12 months without getting mortgage payments, have to pay legal fees. And then once they take on the property, they might have to invest money to rehab the property and then turn around and hire a listing broker to try to sell the property. So sometimes it's better just to cut your losses and take a short sale. So it depends on market conditions, but that is the reason some lenders will take short sales. Others will simply not. They'll go through the foreclosure process. They'll end up with what they have, and whatever they have, then they're going to try to make the best of it. Keep in mind, typically when a property is foreclosed and the lender comes up, isn't able to repay what they're owed, they will typically turn around and sue the borrower for whatever the difference is in terms of what the property sold for in a foreclosure auction versus what was ultimately owed. And when you do a short sale, typically the bank will release you from anything that you owe, generally speaking. But I would recommend that you talk to an attorney, you talk to a banker, you talk to anybody and everybody. Make sure you have everything down pat before you go ahead and pull the trigger. So short sale, preemptive, and foreclosure, REO, bank owned, real estate owned, one and the same, is going to be after the fact, reactionary, if you will. So overall, in the distressed market in Miami Beach right now, there's only 2 condos on the market, in terms of pending sales. There's 4 that are pending. There's 4 that are pending. And in 2022, January through December, 25 distressed condos traded, 25 distressed condos traded. If I take the 25 condos that traded in 2022, I divide it by the 12 months, I'm going to come up with an average of 2.1 distressed condos trading in Miami Beach per month. If I take that 2.1 distressed condos that traded in 2022, I divide it what's currently on the market, which is 2, I'm going to come up with about 1 month of supply. Now, that would suggest it is a seller's market, but I have a secret for you. The distressed market is virtually always a seller's market. Why is that? Because banks that take back properties, and when I say bank, I'm also referring to any kind of lender, could be private money, if you will. Now, typically when a bank takes back a property, they're not going to want to dump it on the market right away and basically fire sell it. They're going to try to release the product slowly. There's a lot of demand for distressed units, and therefore, why would a bank go through or basically waste this opportunity to maximize how much it can generate through a foreclosure sale? So you're always going to see, in my opinion, except in very exceptional circumstances, you're always going to see a seller's market for distressed condos. So that's the overview. Let's get into the 2 categories, short sales first, and then we're going to get into real estate owned or REO, foreclosures or bank owned. On the short sales side, we only have 1 short sale that's for sale in Miami Beach, 1 short sale. It's asking price $260,000 for the unit, $260,000. Now on a price per square foot basis, $226 a foot, $226 a square foot. You can see that $226 a square foot is a very attractive price compared to what condos were trading for in Miami Beach that were not in distress. In terms of days on the market, the short sale that's been on the market, it's been there 105 days and counting, 105 days and counting. Translated into months is going to be 3.5 months. Now, pending sales, 2 short sales are pending, 2 are pending. The average asking price for those units when they went under contract, $380,000 a door, 380. Price per square foot, $356 a foot. And those pending sales, they've been listed, they've been under contract, grand total on average, 126 days. And then finally, transactions in 2022 from short sales, 4 short sales traded at an average price of $266,575 a door, $266,575 per door. And on a price per square foot basis, $317 a foot. And it took them a grand total of 82 days, which converted into months is going to work out to 2.7 months. So again, sentiment wise, you can see that it's taking longer, even though there's only 1 short sale on the market, it's taking longer for that unit just to be able to find a buyer. Now, when you look at pending sales, it's also taking longer from the point where it's listed and it actually goes under contract. Now let's take a look at average pricing per door. The average transaction price for a short sale in 2022 was $266,575 per door. Versus the one that's for sale right now, it's for sale for $260,000. It's actually 2.5% less than the average transaction price in 2022. So that's interesting. That would suggest that the pricing could be right. Let's look at a price per square foot because that's much more important when you talk about a condo. There's a 29% discount in 2023 versus 2022 for a short sale. The average asking price or the asking price for that one short sale, $226 a foot. However, in 2022, the average transaction price was $317 a foot. So that is 29% less than what it was in 2022. So that again suggests pricing is not the issue here. Now, what about the sales pace for short sales? No surprise. 0.3 units traded per month in 2022 for short sales. Why is that? Because there were 4 transactions of 12 months in a year. Hence, you get 0.3 units traded per month. Now, if I take the 3 units that traded per month, find out what's on the market, which is 1, I'm going to come up with 3 months supply, 3 months supply, a seller's market, no surprise. Let's shift over to bank-owned condos, which are also known as REOs, real estate owned or foreclosures. What do we got going on the REO side? We have only one REO for sale, one REO for sale in Miami Beach, and it's asking price $150,000, 150. What is that price per square foot? $211 a foot, $211 a foot, and it's been on the market 22 days. 22 days. If you divide that into 30 days in a month, you're going to come up less than a month. It's been on the market. What about pendings? 2 REOs are pending in Miami Beach, and their average asking price when they went pending, $252,500, $252,500 per door. Now on a price per square foot basis, $362 a foot, $362 a foot. And those pendings, they've been listed and under contract, grand total of 34 days, just over a month. And then in 2022, there were 21 transactions at an average price, $443,825 a door, $443,825 a door. And on a price per square foot basis, $414 a foot, $414 a square foot is what they traded for the REOs in Miami Beach. And it took them a grand total of 42 days. Convert that into months, you're looking at 1.4 months. So virtually nothing. It looks as if the one REO that's on the market today, it's priced right. Days on market is still within that right range, but you got to ask yourself, if it is going to go under contract, how long will it take to close the transaction? If it takes 30 days, then it's going to take longer in 2023 to sell an REO than it did in 2022. However, many times when you deal with bank-owned condos, it's typically a 10-day close and it tends to be all cash. So there's no financing that tends to hang it up. That's just generally speaking. Now, what was the sales price for REOs in Miami Beach? You're looking at 1.8 months. 1.8 months. How did I come up with that 1.8 months? I took the total number of sales, which is 21. I divided it by 12, which is 12 months of the year. Then I come up with 1.8. Now, if I take that and I divide that into what's currently in the market, which is only 1, I'm going to come up with 0.6 months of supply, 0.6 months of supply, which says it is a seller's market for REO condos in Miami Beach. Again, no surprise. Let's go ahead. We'll take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the rental market in Miami Beach.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit condovultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. We're going to talk about rentals in this segment of our podcast. Now, many of you out there who are listening or watching this podcast are probably saying to yourself, well, I'm not going to rent it. I bought this place. It's a second home. It's a primary residence. I'm not interested in renting it, so I don't really care about this. But I would push back and I would say you never know when life is going to change. Could be a change in job, could be a change in health, could be a change in marital status, could be a change in desires, could be a change in outlook. So it's always important to understand what the rental market is like in case you get yourself in a situation where you need to turn around and rent out a property. And at least now with this segment, you're going to be able to get a sense of what a condo will rent for in Miami Beach. But there's a lot of asterisks, a lot of questions related to rental information in Miami Beach, as well as any rental information that you're going to hear about. So sometimes you'll hear a reporter talking about the rental market and nationwide, things like that. I would tell you to be very skeptical of that. And why should you be very skeptical of that? Because the multiple listing service will not track all of the rentals. Why doesn't it track all the rentals? Because the corporate landlords who are going to be the biggest competition for one-off landlords who own a condo in a building, well, that one-off condo owner who's trying to rent out his place or her place is going up against some entity, a REIT, a real estate investment trust that probably owns 300, 400 units in a particular building. And that REIT has got much more negotiating power in terms of adjusting pricing than maybe that one-off unit owner does. So as a result, you're probably not going to get good data because the corporate landlord doesn't want to pay the 10% gross annual rent commission. So the commission on $1,000 a month place, 12 months in a year, is going to be $12,000. Well, if there's a 10% commission paid up to a realtor on top of that, you're looking at $1,200 of that $12,000, and it makes it a little difficult. And as a result, landlords will typically not engage with realtors. What they'll do is they'll hire their own staff, their own real estate people. They'll put them in-house, and they won't pay commissions and let the in-house person or two making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 Let them handle all of it, and therefore the information will never make it into the multiple listing service. Now, that being said, this is the only way to sort of track rental information because unlike transactions, like a sale of a property, of a condo, you don't have any kind of governmental records that are related to a rental. When you close a deal to purchase a property, or sell a property, there's going to be a deed that's recorded in government records, and therefore everybody can check it out. When you close a lease, there's no information out there. It's simply whatever the realtor says it is, and you have no way to verify whether it's true or false. There have been many cases where some of the information entered in this multiple listing service is far from accurate. And as a result, rental information, I would argue, is extremely sketchy. It's the equivalent of licking your finger, holding it up, and trying to guess which way the wind is blowing. So that being said, it's still important to understand kind of what the going price is from these realtors who are on the ground, who are gauging the market as to what they can sort of think property can trade for. Now, the other issue we're going to run into when we get into rentals is the fact that in places like Miami Beach, places are available for rent on a nightly basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and an annual basis. So because the information going in is so sketchy, it doesn't really make sense to us to go ahead and spend all the time trying to compare apples to apples and focusing only on the same type of product, whether it's all annuals or all weeklies or all monthly types of rentals. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to take a median number. We're going to take that number right in the middle. All the other statistics we referred to in previous segments, they were based on average. This one's going to be median because median is less work and it's just as accurate as going ahead and doing all the heavy lifting to try to come up with some number. That's still not going to be accurate because corporate landlord information is not going to be included into it. So that's sort of the rules of engagement. That's the disclosure for you to understand going in, but you can still get some good insight out of it, I think. Currently, 1,576 rentals are available in Miami Beach, 1,576. And what are these rentals? Basically anything except a single family house. And what will that be comprised of? Apartments, condos, efficiencies, multifamily, and townhouses. Basically anything but a house. 1,576 for rent in Miami Beach. The median ask $4,500 a door, $4,500 a door. The median ask per square foot monthly, $5.03, 5.03. Days on market for those rentals, 49 days in county, 49 days in county. Convert that into months. You're coming up with 1.6 months that the typical landlord has been sitting in the market trying to unload it. Now, in terms of pending, 267 are pending, 267 are pending. The median price from those properties when pending, $29.50 a month, or $3.92 a square foot per month, 3.92 per square foot monthly. And those properties that went pending, they were listed in one of their contract in 22 days. Convert that into months. That's less than a month, as you can tell. Now, let's talk about how many places rented in Miami Beach in 2022, January through December. For just under 4,135, rented at a median price of $2,800 a month, or $3.75 a square foot per month, $3.75 a square foot per month. How long did it take to list the property for rent, go under contract, and ultimately complete the transaction? 24 days. And remember, the days on market will represent buyer or renter sentiment. What is the person coming in? What's their sentiment? Are they willing to pull the trigger? They want to go in fast and hard, or are they going to sit on the sidelines and maybe wait for any kind of discount? Well, what you can see here is that it took 24 days to rent a property in Miami Beach in 2022. The properties for rent today on a median basis, they've been there 49 days in counting. So I would tell you typically a place, once it goes under contract, let's call it 10 days or so to get the deal done, 10 days or so. So 49 days is how long they've been on the market for rent. You add another 10 days. We're pushing up against 60. Compare that to 2022, 24 days all in on the transaction. So the renters are not moving as aggressively as they had been in 2022. Now, what about pricing difference? Well, we're looking at about a 61% spread on a price per month basis. Remember, the median ask $4,500 a month, median transaction price in Miami Beach in 2022, $2,800. So you got a 61% spread. 61% is a message to the tenants. Hey, we're not going to negotiate. We think we got gold. If you want in here, you better be willing to pay a premium price. So I'm cheap. I would typically steer clear of any of these types of properties, but that's me personally. Now let's talk price per square foot monthly on a median basis. Median ask, $5.03. You remember I told you. Median transaction price in 2022, $3.75 per month. That's about a 34% spread, 34% spread. Again, way too high. Should be 20% or less in order to sort of garner some sort of interest in that. So days on market is going up and the spread is simply way too big. Therefore, it's suggesting that we're probably going to see some real challenges as we start to get into the hot and humid days of summer in Miami Beach. Now, what about rental pace in 2022? 344 places were rented per month, 344. How did I come up with that? I took the 4135 that were rented. I divided by 12, which is 12 months in a year. That's where I come up with 344 rentals being done per month in Miami Beach. Now, if I take the 344 pace, I divide it what's currently in the market, which is 1576. I'm going to come up with 4.6 months of supply, 4.6 months of supply as we are here in April, the last month of the winter buying and renting season. When all the festivals are going on, the weather is fantastic, and everybody wants to be in town. As we start to move into summer, people flee. They go to the Hamptons, they go to Europe, they go elsewhere. So the market tends to get a little bit softer. So if you're sitting looking at 4.6 months of supply of rental inventory in Miami Beach, that statistically would suggest it is a landlord's market. However, if you look at days on market, you look at the difference in terms of the ask versus the transaction price, I would suggest to you we're probably going to see continued weakening in the rental market in Miami Beach as we go forward into the hot and humid days of summer in Miami Beach. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. I want to thank you for tuning into our podcast. This focus on the condo market of Miami Beach. I want to remind you, if you are listening to this podcast on a traditional platform where it's only audio, something like Apple, Google, or Anchor, you should know you can go to any kind of video platform such as Spotify where you can actually watch the podcast. Also want to remind you, threw around a lot of statistics. If you want to see those statistics, and you are listening audio only, simply go into the description of the podcast. I'll have links to all the various charts in which I am referring to. I also want to tell you, if you want to look us up on YouTube, handle is Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. All the charts are going to be embedded into the video. If you have any comments or questions for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com. That's INQUIRY @condovultures.com. Until next time, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. We appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check back regularly. Also, check out our Reporters Roundtable, where I bring together current and former journalists, talk about some of the biggest stories that have occurred within the last week. And we cut through all the fluff and hyperbole, and we help you understand what's really sort of going on behind the scenes with a particular story. So all that being said, take care of yourself. We'll catch up soon. Ciao, ciao.